peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi,
peacefully and patriotically, make your voices heard.
2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who is a documentary filmmaker, that they say, but she's saying, "Oh no, it's my responsibility."
See Biden reaching for his earpiece, and I heard
because I offered her 10,000 soldiers for National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of
that was weird.
In writing, by the way, the mayor in writing turned it down. The mayor of D.C. They turned it down.
Bowser turned it down
because I could see. I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it. And
this is such a great point from Trump.
National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, you can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
Nancy Pelosi did say that.
President Biden? Look, he encouraged those folks who were up on Capitol Hill, number one. I sat in the dining room off the Oval Office. He sat there for 3 hours. 3 hours watching, being begged by his vice president and a number of his colleagues on the Republican side as well to do something, to call for a stop, to end it. Instead, they've talked about these people being patriots and great patriots.
No, see,
America. In fact,
he called for National Guard troops, and Pelosi declined him on multiple occasions. Bowser declined on multiple occasions.
And saying that no, he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court.
About standing.
They said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He didn't do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail.
Not it at all.
And they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out.
Nonviolent protesters do not deserve to be political prisoners right now. No.
Bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
You're not trying a bloodbath.
What they've done to some people that are so innocent, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. What you have done, how you've destroyed the lives of so many people. When they ripped down Portland, when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires
DC.
all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off.
The Democrats are so dangerous and so violent.
The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that are all gone
Kinzinger and Cheney,
gone. Democrats, all Democrats. They destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right.
Yeah, but I don't think they really deleted it.
They deleted and destroyed all of the information.
It's somewhere.
They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
Oh, let's give it a month, pal. Let's give it a couple months.
What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that there was no effort
That's such a lame line
to stop what was going on.
You knew he had to use it, though.
All those people, every one of those who were convicted, deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea.
Oh, turning over statues like Antifa and BLM. Oh, no.
I asked him those first
not a statue.
The debates we had the first time around. I said, will you denounce the Proud Boys? He said, no, I'll tell them to stand by. The idea he's refusing to do, will you denounce?
Stand down and stand by.
Denounce the people we're talking about now?
Man, this guy's the king of hoaxes. Biden is the gaslighter in chief.
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have.
No,
After
just
a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if
stay on that
reelected,
topic.
you would, quote, have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about a convicted felon, his son is a convicted felon. at a very high level. His son is convicted, going to be convicted probably numerous other times. Should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things.
You're next, pal.
The death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump. President, you have said...
Scored points there. A couple body shots.
Well, you want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea...
Gladiator, what's up? Yes.
What you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong.
Biden's so aggravating.
Spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with. And think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for
Biden weaponizes the Department of Justice, and then he's trying to rub it in his face. Whoa, look, you got...
porn star on the night while your wife was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
You have the morals of an alley cat.
Sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won.
100%.
We had a very terrible judge, a horrible judge.
Merchan is the worst.
The prosecutor, all high-ranking Democrats appointed people.
There's so much of this mess.
Both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases, you know what they did? My poll numbers went up, way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks.
Because Americans see a frame job.
Of any campaign, I don't think any
Americans know a frame job when they see it. And Biden's deep state is going after Trump, and they're sick of it.
Because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Absolutely. Cannot win fair and square. Never won fair and square.
Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming out.
What he's done?
He's got a whole range of issues he has to face. I don't know what the juries will do, but I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that...
The problem that you created to go after him? To cover your own ass with Burisma in Ukraine?
Presidents say that I thought he'd write some good ideas. What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided...
Oh my God.
Because of Iraq. I said I wasn't going to run again.
The Fine People hoax?
What happened in Charlottesville, Virginia.
The Fine People hoax?
The woods carrying swastikas on torches.
He's using the Fine People hoax.
They sang when back in Germany, and the young woman got killed. They spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The people the ones who got killed, the one that tried to stop him, and the ones he said, I think they're fine people on both sides. What American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people? This is a guy who
I can't believe he's still using this lie, this hoax. Even Snopes came out. Even Snopes.
Jake, both of you know that story has been totally wiped out. Because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on this. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency is, without question, the
The
worst
worst president in
the worst
American history.
presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked all over the place.
And Snopes.
Every anchor has
Say
every
Snopes.
reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day, it came out where it was fully debunked.
On Snopes.
It's a nonsense story.
Snopes.
He knows that.
Use the word
and
Snopes.
He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunk. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow that's the only reason I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get
Perfect.
elected. If he thought
Perfect.
there were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't.
There's your commercial. The before and then the real phrase.
The idea.
Side by
he's talking
side.
about all this being fabricated.
Kill shot to
We saw
Biden.
with our
Like,
eyes.
he's
We saw
done.
what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why
Biden just ended his
40 of
own campaign with
44
that.
top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time.
Congrats, he's
His
gone.
Vice president has endorsed
They're going to
him this
replace
time.
him.
So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
Thank you, President Biden. We're going to be right back with more from the CNN
Wow.
presidential debate.
All right, I gotta go to commercial break. Oh, jeez, hold on. Gotta mute. I cannot believe that they went to the Fine People hoax again. Wow. Okay, that's stunning. Biden went through a laundry list of hoaxes. Here, let me switch this screen real quick. Thanks for watching, by the way. Type your comments in the chat. Hit like, hit subscribe. The New American Media, the Agree to Disagree show. My name is Brian Engelman. Follow us in all the places on X at American_media_. On Telegram, TNAM and TNAM chat. On Truth Social, The New American Media. On Rumble, The New American Media. On YouTube, The New American Media. And on Odyssey, The New American Media. Instagram, The New American Media. Facebook, The New American Media. And on Spotify, The Agree to Disagree show. Type your comments in, please, while we're in a commercial break. Wow. Linda saying, Biden aggravates the peace out of me. Bill Brasky. Great stuff as always, Brian. I think that's a cheers. I would like to offer you a cheers as well. But this is a break. I wonder if I should take a break right now. Maybe I will take a break. It's actually a good... We're going to press pause. We'll be right back. We're not going anywhere. Hold on one second. Just hit reset. All right, just a second here. He's still great for real. Oh man, I don't know how long this break is. Let me check this first. Okay. Okay, where we at? Let's switch this back. Let's get some volume up again. Here we go. I want to know what that hard edit was.
In your first terms, and you'd certainly face again in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record low under your presidency, black families still earn far less than white families.
Oh, good grief.
Black mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes, and black Americans are imprisoned at 5 times the rate of white Americans. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed that you haven't made more progress?
They acknowledge you made a lot of progress, number one.
Black voters are flocking to Trump.
Small black businesses that have been started at any time in history.
Flocking.
Number two, the wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in a long, long time. Number three, we're providing housing for black Americans and dealing with the segregation that exists among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses.
Corporations collude.
We find that.
Did he just get a new shot?
The impact on the choice that black families have to make relative to child care.
He has a real hard time finishing sentences.
When we did the first major piece of legislation in the past, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half. We got to make sure we provide for child care costs. We got to make sure, because when you provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done.
Oh boy.
Considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal so far, and I'm not letting up, and they know it.
You have 49 seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly. For example, I provided for the idea that any black family, first-time home buyer, should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home.
We're not doing the racist thing anymore, Joe. Haven't you caught word? We're done discriminating based on race.
Had to take out student loans that were ballooning.
Yeah, and we're done with these student loan scams, too. This all needs to be defunded. The problems in this country start and end in the schools.
If they paid their bills for 10
From
years,
kindergarten to senior year of college.
all the rest is forgiven after 10 years.
Yeah,
Millions have benefited.
awful idea. This is not a benefit. This is terrible.
Black families.
Thank you, President Trump.
Terrible
And he
idea.
caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled. And
Yeah, it's not
quadrupled.
20%. It's
They
double
can't
and
live.
triple.
They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New Scam and all of the other.
Look at how
all this
pale
money that's
that
being thrown out
Biden
the
guy
window.
looks.
He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting
Trump
there,
looks peach, not
the
orange, and it's
fact is
so
that his
much
big
better than
kill
Biden.
on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're
30.
taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
Thank you, President Biden.
You're damn right.
There's no inflation.
It's the
When I
Obama
became president, you know why?
policy
The economy was
on
flat
immigration.
its back. 50% unemployment. He decimated the economy. Absolutely decimated the economy. That's why there was no inflation at the time. There were no jobs. We provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals.
See, Biden knows that that's a COVID thing. That's not an argument that anybody's going to buy into.
We have covered.
I'm tuning him out at this point, and so should you.
I made sure that there.
That's all COVID. It was awesome in the economy prior to COVID.
Get written off for the healthcare, but this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times.
We're not buying
He wants to
into
get
it.
rid of the
I'm
ACA
just
again.
not having it.
And they're going to try again if they win. You find ourselves
Linda,
in a position
Biden
where
aggravates
the
me too.
idea that we're not doing any. We put more police on the street than any administration has.
Hold on. Put more police on the streets. Captain, defund the police?
Equity and making sure.
I'm sorry, what?
Shot.
Equity?
There's a lot going
What about
on.
the American cities, the great American cities that burned during your 2020 Democrat riots?
Feasance in the way he
Huh?
handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another
What?
persistent challenge is the climate crisis.
There's no
2023
climate
was the
crisis.
hottest
We're not doing
year
this.
in recorded history, and communities across
We're not
the
doing
country
this.
are confronting
Dana
the
Bash.
devastating effects of extreme heat, intensifying wildfires, stronger hurricanes, and rising sea levels.
No, not
Former
happening.
President
Not a
Trump,
thing.
you
Stop.
vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as
These
president
scams
to slow
are
the
incredible.
climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump.
Yep.
Almost every police group.
Yep.
And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name.
Biden
and he
looks
called it to them for 10, and they've taken great offense
like
at
such
it,
a
and now
bad
they see it
actor.
happening. But when they see what I did for criminal justice reform and for the historically black colleges and
HBCUs.
universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came
His
to me
vice
with the
presidential
idea. It was a
pick?
great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development
Interesting.
acts
Tim
ever
Scott?
in the country. Opportunity zones. And the biggest beneficiary are blacks. And that's why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever, the best numbers. He's lost much of the black population because he's done a horrible job for
Terrible
black people.
job.
He's also done a horrible job for
White
Hispanics.
people.
But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs, and it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
A train wreck.
38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely
Yes.
clean air, and we had it.
Yes.
We had H2O. We had the best numbers ever.
We had
And
H2O. We had all the best.
all forms of
We had all the
energy,
best letters,
forms,
all the best
everything.
numbers.
And yet,
H
during
in the
my
twos
4
and the O's.
years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
We had the best letters, the best numbers.
I don't know what the hell
H's,
he
twos,
meant.
O's.
The idea today that he said is true. I've passed the most extensive climate change legislation in history.
Yeah, that's not a good thing, pal.
We find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high
Oh
tech.
my God, this guy is a stammering
He is
nincompoop.
claiming to
Wow.
have done something that had the cleanest water. The cleanest water? He hadn't done a damn thing with the environment.
Oh, let's talk about East Palestine, Ohio.
Climate Accord. I immediately joined it. because
Pete
if we really
Buttigieg
get
setting those
1.5
trains on
degrees
fire to
Celsius,
contaminate the
then
entire area.
there's no way back. The only
Ohio,
exception for
Pennsylvania.
humanity is climate change.
Yeah, we
And
remember
if you
that,
do a
your
damn thing
ecological
about it,
record,
you must not
Biden.
do all that I've done.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing.
Trump's
Russia
doing a
nothing,
really
and
good
India
job with
nothing.
pacing and
It
timing
was a
and
ripoff of the United States.
doing a really
And
good
I
job.
ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones who was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it, and it was a disaster. But everything that he said
Trump's
just
doing
now, I'll
great
give you an
tonight.
example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors. What he's doing is destroying all of our medical programs because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage, I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country. They're taking over our schools, our hospitals, and they're going to be taking over Social Security. He is destroying Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Here we
The
go.
idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything? We're not able to, the United States can't get this under control one of the largest polluters in the world. Number one, we're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have.
I just made a poll, by the way.
We have made significant
Please
progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people to learn how to.
Yeah, that's strange stuff. We don't need any of that.
We're moving in directions that are going to significantly change the elements of cause of pollution. But the idea that he claims that he has the biggest heart up here and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate, I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way,
yeah, you don't need a scam to care.
One company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day, millions of Americans struggle just to
And
make
by the
ends
way,
meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline. President Biden, if nothing is done to Social Security,
I wonder if they have a
seniors
screen with like the
will see
timer,
their
30
benefits
seconds,
cut
15
in
seconds,
just
5
over 10
seconds.
years.
That would be
Will you
very
name
helpful.
Tonight, one specific step
I'm very
you're willing
curious
to
of
take
that.
to keep Social Security solvent.
yes,
Nothing is solvent, by the way.
To pay their fair share.
Fair share?
Now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time of the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, the millionaires pay 1%. 1%.
Oh, boy.
So no one
Biden
has
is
to,
struggling.
not raise the cost of Social Security for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing
Trump's eyebrows dropping. He's trying to follow, and he's like,
the program for life.
he's like, I'm kind of
So you
lost.
still
I
have
don't
maybe
know.
2 seconds left. Are there any
what
other
you're saying.
measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Biden's rocking
That
left
one
and
enough
right.
will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing I'll do if we defeat this man, because he wants to get rid of Social Security. He thinks there's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare.
Biden's doing a left to right thing.
And if you look at the program put forward by
Is he squeezing
the
one
House
out?
Republican caucus that he, I believe, supports, is in fact want to cut it as well. The idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous.
You don't protect your seniors by bringing in millions of illegal alien invaders.
Coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said,
Or their point is they want people paying into the system that can't
400,000
withdraw from the
people,
system.
but
they do.
40 million people would not have
It makes
insurance
no sense.
because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that insurance is the fact that they, in fact, are part of the ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where I talk about education for black communities. I've raised the amount of money for Pell Grants by another $8,000. So anybody making under $70,000 a year going to be able to get
Snooze fest.
$15,000 towards the tuition. He just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this side of the equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He can look you in the face. About so many other things too. And we mentioned the laptop. We mentioned Russia, Ukraine. Everything he does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security. They're putting them onto Medicare, Medicaid.
That's exactly what I just said.
Hospitals.
They're taking the place of our citizens. What they're doing to
Unbelievable.
the VA, to our veterans is unbelievable. Our veterans are living in the street, and these people are living in luxury hotels. He doesn't know what he's doing, and it's really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
Yep, never before.
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one standing with Trump when he said it, number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation where
Pushing hoaxes. This is like the 5th or 6th or 7th hoax Biden has pushed tonight. Find people injecting bleach. Biden is a walking hoax. He's a cheap fake.
The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. we're doing better than any other nation in the world. And by the way,
Biden
those
is a
15
cheat.
Nobel laureates he talked about being phony, those 15 Nobel laureates, economists, they all said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession. And inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the States of America.
51 intelligence officials, 159 scholars.
Care, which many American
Oh, this
families
guy is
struggle
the
to
worst.
afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue, but the average cost of child care in this country has risen to more than $11,000 a year per child for many families.
How about
The
let's
cost of
raise the
child care for
purchase
2
power
children
of our
is more
dollar?
than their rent. In your second term, what would you do to make child care more affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have 19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire
Trump
people.
is so funny.
He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I
Hang
fired
on one
Comey
second.
because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no good. Not easy to fire people. You'd pay a price for it, but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed? Joe, our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up here and waste a lot of time on this debate. This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it.
He brought in an army to attack Americans.
He's the worst
Biden
president
did.
in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing
How
deal.
dare he?
And it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant. He wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If
We
he
cannot.
wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how bad it is. He is the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We are the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond our capacity. We're the finest military.
Ask all the
in history of
BRICS
world.
nations who are
The finest in the history
decoupling
of
from the
world.
U.S. dollar,
No
you
one
clown.
thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us.
Yeah,
No one.
ask Russia.
Number one.
Ask
Number two,
Hamas.
the
Ask
idea
Iran.
that we're talking about
Ask
worst
China.
presidents. I wasn't joking. Look
You
it up.
are
Go
joking, and you're
online.
not going to lie to me. I'm not
150
tolerating
million,
it.
58, don't hold me the exact number. Presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American
51
history.
intelligence
He went through
officials
best to
said.
worst.
I
They
can't
said
believe he
was
keeps
the
going
worst
back to
in
this.
all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture.
That's a
You can
fact
argue
that a
wrong,
couple
but
of
that's what they
deep
voted.
state hacks
The idea
signed
that
their
he
name
is
on a dotted
willing
line.
Doing anything to deal with child care.
Trump has crushed this
For
debate.
virtually nothing to child care.
Biden has nothing in his back pocket.
Credit. We should significantly increase the availability of women and men or
Goodness.
single parents to be able to go back to work, and we should encourage businesses to have.
Thank you, President
childcare
Biden.
facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make
He
child care
trailed
more
off. That
affordable.
made
You
no
want to
damn
do that?
sense.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst because what he's done is so bad. And they rate me, I'll show you, I will show you. And they rate me one of the best, okay? And if I'm given another 4 years, I will be the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's taxes
Biden reminds me of
by 4
Voldemort.
times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before.
Jeez,
All my
he's-
life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians
It's
talking
weird.
about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said, we did more business. Apple and all these companies, they were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I never raised a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But his tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country. You know what the economists say? He's in a situation where he talks about how he has not raised.
So Biden looks like he's reading.
The middle class.
Is he reading?
The middle class have been devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5
Devastated?
trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally.
That's the opposite of what the economy was like under Trump.
Deficit of any president in American history. Number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China. We are the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Wow.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic.
I don't mind shutting these microphones off.
Top priority in your first term.
I'm not angry at it.
Crisis. And for both
and I think the CNN anchors are doing okay.
The number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up.
Oh my God, they're talking about fentanyl, another real issue.
It has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying from overdoses every year.
And it's not overdoses, it's poisoning. You're poisoning innocent people. These aren't reckless people doing this to themselves. They're being poisoned.
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with it or something. But you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done
Trump
that.
is the boss.
But he hasn't cut
Biden
the tariffs
is just a
because he
confused
can't, because
loser.
it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country.
One looks like a leader, one looks like
the worst situation with China. China's going to own us.
disconnected
If you keep
weirdo.
allowing them to do what they're doing to us as a country. They are killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do
I
to
think
help
the moderators
Americans
are
in the
doing a good
throes of
job.
addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough, and it was the drugs pouring across the border were. We were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now? It's not only the 18 million people that I believe is in women coming across our border. The worst thing I've ever seen. At numbers that nobody's coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines. We need those machines. And we're coming down very hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl. And Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together.
I'm not buying it because it's not happening.
Throes of addiction right now, struggling to
Yeah,
get
lock the border.
Well, because this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made a catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say there's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter. I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars.
Why are American hostages not front page news every day? Every single day.
As soon as I take office, before I take office, I said by literally, as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President Trump. Dana?
Let's turn to concerns that voters have about each of you. President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term.
So is this a coup to get rid of
address concerns
Biden?
about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
Well, first of all, I spent half my career being criticized, being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person ever elected to the United States Senate, and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible
A
situation.
lot less competent.
As I said,
The gaslighter in chief, everybody.
1,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America.
The gaslighter in chief.
Billions of dollars in private investment
Goodness.
in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought off a lot of people. The whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and then bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States, and guess what? Those fabs they call to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions of places in the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those who he cuddles up to, from Kim Jong-un.
Keeps our word. Let's ask Israel about that.
They don't want to screw around with
Because
us.
Obama's
Thank you. Former President
backroom
Trump, to follow
dealings
up,
in
you
that
would
war.
be 82 at the end
They're a
of
little
your
concerned.
second term. What do you say to voters who have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them, both of them, as you know. We made it.
Took my AIDS test.
I'd like to see him take one, just one. A really easy
Passed
one.
it, got a
Like, those were
65.
the first 5 questions, he couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And, we knock on wood.
I climbed Iwo Jima.
That I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior. 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way, and I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test, and you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them.
Got a
Dr.
65.
Ron Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody.
Weird noise right
Thank
there.
you. President Biden?
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, anyway, just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president,
I'd be happy.
But by the way, I told you before.
Okay, Hamilton just turned into a golf duel.
Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
This is an all-out golf war.
I know you sweat.
Okay,
Let's not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
to a specific concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election,
No.
regardless of who wins, and you will say right now that political violence in any form is unacceptable?
Well, I shouldn't have to say that, but of course I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen.
To go home peacefully, we're the party of law and order.
I believe the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, and I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police.
They
and
were.
As Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that
Non-violent.
loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody, and I'll tell you something, I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he said that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a
Someone
failing
voted for
nation right
Biden,
now. We're a seriously
winning the
failing
debate.
nation. And we're a failing nation
Who
because
voted
of
Biden?
him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North
And by the
Korea,
way,
all of these
20 million
they
illegal
don't
alien
respect him.
invaders
They don't fear him.
in our country.
They have nothing going
Sleeper
with this
cells.
gentleman, and he's going to
Wait
drive
till the
us
power
into
goes
World
out.
War III.
If you're a Trump supporter, they're coming after your house. Be ready.
Let him follow and win, and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world
Looks
who
like
would
Jack
trade places with
Skellington.
the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland.
Biden and Newland and Obama are pushing this war. They're the only ones pushing this.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew
Crimea.
not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started ever with me. And he's going to take Ukraine. And, you know, you asked me a question before, would you do this? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia. Because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad.
It's awful.
They've lost so many people, and they've
You
lost
should be
those
so
gorgeous
angry.
cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old. All
So
because of
angry
him
at what
and
they've done.
Stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But I will absolutely, there's nothing I'd rather do. It would be much easier for me to do that
Yeah,
than
they're
running
not
again.
honest.
I wasn't really going to
Elections.
run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country.
He wasn't
I would
really
be
gonna
very
run.
happy
He
to
said
be
that 2 or 3
someplace else,
times.
in a nice location
That
someplace.
he'd rather not
And
be
again,
doing this.
No indictments, no political.
God, I
violence
like him
stuff,
so much
because
more
it's
right
the
now.
only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up by numbers and driven him up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Well,
That's
let's see what
true.
your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first
You're a whiner?
you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court in America
Wow.
said any of your claims,
Standing.
said any
Back to
American,
standing?
state or local. None.
Because of what SCOTUS
You
did today.
continue to
Standing.
promote this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There's no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate live.
How much more is there of this? All right, here, let me mute this real quick. I like that they give you enough seconds to kind of mute this. All right. Who's winning the debate? What do you think? Give me a second. I'll be right back. I thought it was from 9 to 10:30. Is this still going on? All right, should be over soon. Just a moment. Hoo-wee. All right, so the commercial break. Oh, I didn't mean. Interesting. Let me text doing a. Hey, everybody. Hi, YouTube. Appreciate you, YouTube. Please feel free to leave. All of those words combine into please. Please feel free to leave. Man, that's a weird. Occasionally, I'll start speaking a sentence, and I'm like, "This is not well crafted." You have to say it out loud to go. Let me change a couple words there. Please feel free to leave your comments. Don't leave. Stay here. Let me go back here onto the screen so that I can bring up the audio when applicable. I believe it's over, though. Simulcast. Here we go. What is happening now? I'm going to refresh. What's happening? Come on, refresh.
Watch what protein shakes do to you.
No, we're not doing a commercial right now. We're in the middle of a live thing.
Watch what steak does
Oh,
to your
good
gut.
grief.
Diet. Why do people lose
You
weight so
cannot
fast?
do this during live events
Anyone
like
even
this.
making under $400,000 had a single penny
Jeez.
increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic, and he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what?
Woo! Biden barely avoided going off the road there.
Excuse me, $35.
He went off-road and pulled it back.
$400, no more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160 billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now. And
Blake will be here in a moment.
He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits that people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people
Old
across
cities
the country.
are causing
We're going to
problems.
continue to fight to bring down inflation and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden.
Ooh, excuse
President
me.
Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't
that
do
is true.
business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror. No
Broke
money
and no money
whatsoever.
too.
Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the
And it's getting worse.
Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We got the largest tax cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs, but he's putting a lot of those regulations back on. All of the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or
And I
going
like
to
right
Europe
to try.
and trying to get when
That's a
you're
big deal.
terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for
No
42
mandates
years.
either.
But you know, what
Right
we
to
did
try
for the
and no
military was
mandates.
incredible choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of
And
themselves.
the VA
and
pays
they're
that
living.
bill.
And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Thank you, former President Trump.
Done.
President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate. Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
That was a weird transition. Okay, I guess that's the end of it. We will go ahead and mute this. I just want to give a shout out to Real America's Voice. We did choose you as the channel that we wanted to use because we appreciate you. Real America's Voice, we're a fan. Especially after a month ago when I was able to go out to the Bronx and I jumped right in front of the camera, got on Jack Posobiec's show, got a couple of segments onto the next show, or maybe a show in between, maybe the 4 o'clock show. And then some of those segments were used with Steve Bannon's show later in the day. So yeah, kind of fans of the Real America's Voice right now. So that's who we wanted to bring up on the screen for you to see. So go check them out, and thank you very much. Now, in the poll that we did on YouTube, who won the debate? Now, that might not be much of a surprise, but 75% said Donald Trump. I guess I'm a little surprised that it's not more like 100%. But it is what it is. Make sure you're following the New American Media and the Agree to Disagree show in all of the places. Blake Wally is joining us in about a minute. He's been watching. I might pass the baton to him so he can give some analysis over what he thought were some key moments. This is big. So let's walk through a couple of key components here. Number one, there were no medical emergencies. Okay, we heard concerns, and I didn't hear this from one place, from one tweet, from one post, and I know they're called posts. I was hearing this from everywhere. At least 4 or 5 different places. Different angles, different perspectives saying there might be a mobility surprise. Something about like they were hinting like they're going to wheel him out in a wheelchair. Or that he's going to have some sort of device at his podium that can give him like a second boost to pump you full of something else. Like every 30 minutes we give you another and you kind of keep even keel. I mean, this really is the Simpsons episode where Homer goes and buys the lobster. And he puts it in the freshwater tank and it goes belly up. And Lisa's like, no, it's salt water. You got to add salt water, Dad. He goes, oh, okay. And then he grabs the salt water, dumps it in. And then the lobster goes regular, legs down. But now all the fish go belly up. And Lisa goes, no, Dad. He goes, hold on, I'm still fine-tuning this. And he pours some water, and he pours some salt, and pours some water, and pours some salt. And then all of the creatures go equally sideways, equally inconvenienced, equally unhappy. I love that episode. I love that scene. You know, comedy, whether it's All in the Family, Jeffersons, South Park, The Simpsons, MASH. There's a lot of truth mixed in with humor. There's a lot of truth mixed in with humor. And when you're trying to be everything to everybody, you end up being nothing to anybody. Biden got lost, legitimately lost 8 to 10 times. By the way, I love my cats, and I'm allergic to cats. So when Blake comes in, I think I'm going to just kind of, because I was petting my cats, I'm going to wash my hands and hit reset. I'll give Blake the microphone here.
Speaking of,
There he is.
you got to finish your point about the cats, or not?
I don't know. Where was I
We're
going?
already up in debate and we're talking about cats. I don't know what happened there. What am I walking into?
Welcome, Blake. Welcome.
Is this the cat show?
No, I was just I got both my cats hanging out, and I've been petting them, and I'm like I need to wash my hand because I'm allergic to cats, as you well know. I love my guys, but I was talking about there's a lot of truth in comedy, and I was talking about how South Park and The Simpsons, whether it's The Jeffersons or All in the Family, whether it's MASH or pick your favorite sitcom. Do you have a favorite sitcom of the 70s, 80s, 90s, or today?
Yeah, back in those days, yeah, sure. I don't know exactly off the top of my head. Probably, Married with Children, and
That's a great one.
I don't know.
That's a great one. But there's a lot of wisdom when it comes to humor, and I'm just
A lot of Al Bundy wisdom, right?
he scored 4 touchdowns
4 touchdowns in a single game, Brian.
for Polk High. I know. I've been compared to Al Bundy many times. I've even been given the jersey because I played football and I had a great time with it. Like, it really helped me grow up a little bit. It taught me a lot of important lessons that I needed to learn. But anyway, I think these political lessons, when you're trying to be everything to everybody, you end up being nothing to anybody. I think that was the roundabout point, but also through humor, you're able to connect a lot of things. I thought Biden went off the rails several times, maybe 8 to 10 times, but he brought it back eventually about 5 or 6 times. He only kind of trailed off and bailed out by Jake Tapper 2 or 3 times. But I think overall, like, Blake, let's just start here. First off, if you're not aware of Blake Wally, make sure you're following him on X. He's at TV's Blake Wally. Hello to Steve Freeman, by the way, in the chat. Thanks for joining us. He says Biden is weak, and he's ill, and he's an ass. I cannot disagree with any of these.
Biden is ass.
He is ass, and an ass. But follow Blake Wally. He's at TV's Blake Wally and thenextlevelnews.com. But Blake, I was kind of just talking about the greater scheme of things where kind of there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from humorous situations and kind of your general takeaway on the night. Joe Biden, I thought he went off the rails, like I said, 8 to 10 times, got back on 5 to 6. Had a couple where he trailed off, and even Trump remarked one time, I don't know what the hell he was saying at the end of there, but I got this like, it's like, that's what all of us were saying. So, Blake, let me just give you a second, give you the floor real quick, and just say hello to everybody and kind of start off with some of your main takeaways, sir. I'm gonna go wash my hands of my cats so the dander doesn't keep me sniffing like Donald Trump. And therefore, I think we should go in and take care of Soleimani. Because last time they had it all, it was like the Trump sniff cam. And at the Joe Biden State of the Union, it was like WWE. He was all hopped up on goofballs, and it was like Macho Man Randy Savage. And that's what we got. So I thought everything tonight was kind of even keel. I liked the mute button, and I thought the CNN hosts did a good job. I can't believe I'm saying that, but that's my opening salvo. Take it away, Blake.
Well, I would agree there, Brian, that I think we got these camera angles confused here. Okay. Yeah, I'll just speak. I'll be the little tiny voice in the corner that's speaking.
There we are.
All right, I'll just sit there. All right. Okay, this is how we're going to set it up.
There we go. Yes, for now.
I agree with that. I was actually very pleasantly surprised by the CNN moderation team. I thought they were walking into a potential trap, and they were going to pull all kinds of crazy stuff on them that we didn't see coming. But no, it was actually very well done. It's not a normal type of debate that we've seen in the past. Or maybe it's reminiscent of like when you saw the old ones with Kennedy Nixon, where it just seems like it's just those two guys having a conversation back and forth, rather than having the raucous crowd, cheering or what have you. That's kind of distracting at times, and the Biden team didn't want to have that for obvious reasons, and it sort of gets cheesy because they all bring in their own sort of cheerleading squad, and it becomes a circus, and of course people talking over each other. So I love the idea that they were able to shut the mics off and just have a normal back and forth. I think that sets a new standard for debating going forward. Absolutely. And I kept it tight. I mean, I didn't keep a counter, but it seemed like sometimes they went over their time, and sometimes they weren't direct. Maybe you just to keep pressing them to make sure that they're answering questions. I think kind of maybe one of my criticisms of Trump was that he'd get lost trying to answer something else, and then he'd forget what he was on topic for. He'd run out of time, and then they wouldn't keep him on track to answer that question. But obviously, Biden would just look terrible. It was pitiful.
And by the way, pause right there, because that's a whole other topic we can get into.
Okay.
About how Biden looked. By the way, we are generically streaming on YouTube. Who knows who's going to see this? But we.
Oh, they hate us. No,
I know.
YouTube.
They did.
Right.
So I did not play
We're not
this.
getting any help from YouTube. It's not like, oh my God, look at all these people that.
No, but Blake,
YouTube algorithm, they love. Yeah.
No, but our shows do get 100 views on YouTube, on the New American Media's YouTube. Just we don't get anything live. They show it all after the fact. So some people are still getting our content. We have to kind of fight through the fact that we hate them and we hate their company and we know that they're rigging it. But they are providing us a little bit of an audience. But what I wanted to say is something you just said. I want to echo and I want to reiterate. I thought they did a fantastic. Blake, I am as surprised as anybody will ever be that I am going to heap any amount of praise onto CNN, but let me do so. I actually enjoyed how good of a job they did when it came to, all right, thank you, but you still have 67 seconds left, and I just want to redirect you back to the question, what do you think needs to happen in the blah, 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 blah. They did a really good job of refocusing, setting up, you have this many seconds left. Can you please readdress the question? You filibustered, but I'm going to call you on it. I thought it was one of the best moderating jobs I've ever seen. At least in a few regards. I'm super surprised. Blake, I'm curious to get your thoughts there.
Well, I think we have low standards for
That's so true.
Turned into a circus, so
That's
there
so
can
true.
certainly be room for improvement. But yeah, I believe they set a new standard for how debates should be run going forward, and we'll stick to that. So we'll stick to that formula. So well done for CNN. I thought it was going to be a trap, and they were going to pull all kinds of stuff, bail Joe out, help Trump, but no, they got a lot of their points across, and it was great. It set the record straight, because you don't hear a lot of those things from on CNN. They're not going to talk about January 6th the way
But my God,
Trump will, border or any of that stuff, and they didn't even stop them or try to do anything like, oh, that's not true. So they didn't interject anything. There's a lot of people going back and forth between Joe and
you're right.
Donald.
You're right. The best moderators are the ones that you don't notice their presence. Chris Wallace, when he was all up in that debate, he was so ridiculously aggressive for Fox in Trump's face, talking over him, it was the worst I've ever seen. Mike Wallace would be spinning in his grave to see what his kid was doing. Sorry if that's a little too harsh, but what the actual F? That was terrible. These moderators stayed out of it for the most part, Blake. It was very commendable. Now, there might have been 1 or 2 or 3 moments of off the top of my head, I'm not recalling, but I'm saying the general vibe was I'm okay with this. They're not just talking over top of each other like Stephen A. Smith yelling at some basketball player, some retired basketball player yelling at some lady host on ESPN who's yelling at somebody, and it's just everyone talking over top of each other. So I'm glad that did not happen, for sure. Yeah, a lot of takeaways. I guess, number one, I'm really glad there weren't any weird medical surprises or deep state tricks. It was just a conversation. But man, this where I interrupted you earlier was you're saying that Biden looked terrible. He sounded terrible right out of the gate, and he looked terrible throughout.
Right, you brought that up earlier, and I heard the same thing from Mike Barra a couple of weeks ago. Recalling the great Kennedy-Nixon debates, and where they, people that listened to it on the radio, thought Nixon won, and people that saw it on TV, of course, Nixon had been sick, and I guess John F. Kennedy was like hanging out in the Barbados for a week, and he was refreshed and relaxed and handsome guy on the camera, so he won by people watching. But there's no way you could say that Biden won on either count.
No.
Because I follow this on, Brian, you were live streaming what I was, following this on Twitter. I was surprised to see a lot of the, the hacks, flacks, and lackeys on the left, not the paid influencers, but just kind of like a lot of the regular people were freaking out. They knew that it was bad. They know it looks like it's over, and there's just no amount of spin can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. It was a historic night for the wrong reasons for Joe.
I want to ask about this particular component, Blake. I was two things at once. On one hand, I was pleasantly surprised, and on the other hand, oh my effing G, did this really happen? Did Biden really use 4, 5, 6, 7 completely fake stories to try to slander President Trump? It was gaslight after fake news after operation. He pulled all of them out. That was a huge takeaway from me. I don't know if that's in your stack but it was fake hoax, this hoax, that hoax, that hoax, that hoax. He's living in this regurgitation loop that never worked, and even Snopes now has come out and said this is fake news, and Biden is still trying to sell you lies. So that was one of my big takeaways.
Well, it is. It's an information war, and we need to have a debate on what the facts are, what the truth actually is, because you have too much of that back and forth, and without getting to see both perspectives at the same time, it's hard to get that, because otherwise you get lost in a bubble. If you just only watch CNN or only watch Fox News, you would be in a bubble. And I always think that the other side is lying and your side is great. So it's interesting to see that back and forth, and having both candidates call each other liars, but now it's time to go over, some of those facts. I thought that was great that he got to address, like January 6th, because that's been a big one that the left is stuck to this whole insurrection narrative and blah blah blah. But Trump got to say, he said peacefully and patriotically, and yes, it was Nancy Pelosi who admitted it, and they called for the National Guard, and they let it go. So, okay. So I was going to just.
But before we get to yours, I just wanted to play this because we're trying to.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I clicked the wrong one. My apologies. By the way, to anybody out there, make sure you're following Blake at TV's Blake Wally and The Next Level News, and donate on Cash App, $ Blake W99. But yeah, Blake and I, we are the hosts, we are the producers, we are the engineers, we are all of the things at all of the times. But I want to play this because as we're trying to determine what the truth is, it reminds me of this classic moment. Let me play it one more time. That was our former president saying that depends on what your definition of the word is. That was pretty well clipped together, and it played 3 times. But Blake, I think you understand the point I was making there. There's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And Slick Willie, man, he was able to at least sell you. He could pee on your leg and convince you that it was raining. Biden's like, pee on your your leg, and the hair stood up, lifeguard, and it's raining, yeah? You're like, what? No. No. Like, nobody's buying what Biden is selling, Blake.
Yeah, Democratic Party has fallen pretty dramatically, and I used to love Bill Clinton. So I love the '90s.
I never did.
Awesome. Oh yeah, well the Republicans were absolute ridiculous.
I like Newt Gingrich. Newt Gingrich was pretty good.
Yeah, he's a sharp guy. Sure, he's
Yeah.
a fairly respectable guy.
Fix the
but
budget.
The Republicans were so lame and out of touch.
They were lame.
And they were just like mindless warmongers. They were awful. The Republicans in the '90s and the 2000s were a shit show.
I'm Bob Dole.
Embarrassing.
I'm Bob Dole, and I agree with this message. I'm Bob Dole.
He was at least funny, sure, but that was about it. After between the Bushes and no, it was bad. Republicans were just the worst. So, but I've changed my views. Actually, the Democrats have gone so far radical.
Oh boy.
Can't recognize them.
They've gone
it's
nuts.
Embarrassing that they put this guy up there. Yeah, they long for the days of having like a charismatic superstar like Bill Clinton or even Barack Obama, who was a slick-tongued liar, but he was very sharp.
And by the way, that's Barack Hussein Obama, a silver-tongued. I don't know, whatever.
Silver-tongued devil, yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, that face, that GIF. Is it a GIF or a GIF?
GIF.
Okay, I call it a GIF. But anyway, that GIF, I'll call it both. The look of confusion on Biden's face tonight was just omnipresent. He had the blank stare. He had those 100-foot stares. He had the slouched over body language. He was rocking left to right from time to time. I couldn't take my eyes off of all of these fine details to just kind of watch him deteriorating in real time. Take it away, like just kind of walk us through some of your takeaways, Blake. I know you were watching it and you had some other stuff going on, but like walk us through what you took away as some highlights here or lowlights.
Well, I'll just throw a few of the tweets that I had, at least through the first maybe 2/3 of the debate. I was starting to take notes, and then I was like, I don't even know if this is worth it. And it was so bad. It was not at all what I expected. I thought there would be a lot of people were saying, oh, they're going to have Biden, hopped up on drugs. He's going to be all over animated. But he was just low energy, mumbling, bumbling, stumbling. It was bad. He kept losing his train of thought and gibberish sentences. Like, this is a week in Camp David preparing for this. This is with, all the help that he had. This is as, a sitting president, if we believe that he's actually running the show.
Right on.
Everything should be fresh in his mind, all of the things. But he wasn't. He was completely lost. And so he's just obviously looks like a puppet president. This is somebody who should just, at this point in his career, should just be like an advisory role, or maybe somebody like Jimmy Carter. You trot him out. Just he's a fixture, but he's not really
a figurehead.
He's not on the right. He's not an actor. He's just the occasional cameo or something. But let's take a look at some of this. So, yes, Billy Prempa saying, Biden can't compute fast enough. Yeah, you looked pretty lost. Brian Cates was saying it's not a prepared State of the Union, showing he's not the same guy, definitely not the same guy in 2020. And Biden was pretty slick back in the day, too. Like 10, 15 years ago, he was pretty sharp. He could absolutely handle himself. In fact, I think he did a pretty good job even in the VP debates when he roasted Paul Ryan. But anyway, we'll move on. Yes, he is a shell of himself. Clearly should not be up there. It's time to retire. Chris Menahan, this is brutal. It's Jover. Okay. Biden, the blank stare. That's kind of how they looked at this debate with one picture. Losing his train of thought mid-answer, running out of time. When the drugs start wearing off. How about they're going to replace Biden before the election, according to Luke Rudowski. And I would agree with that. I think maybe this is, we talked about this too earlier, Brian. Why are they having this debate so early in June, even before the DNC, before they've officially nominated Biden? And I think this is what they were doing, like a safety measure. So
And
they
Blake,
didn't have him hopped up on drugs, and they were going to see if he could stand on his own. And if he didn't, they're going to have to go to Plan B. So go ahead.
yeah, and I saw people like Jack Posobiec kind of sending out on Telegram just saying this was a coup to take out Biden. Like you got to show that Biden is not firing, his synapses are not all there. Gavin Newsom is in the spin room right now, probably talking to Fox News. Remember Fox News, how they were so animated on getting a Gavin Newsom, a Ronnie DeSantis debate that nobody asked for because they know those are the candidates that they'd really like to see. But let's just remember Joe Biden for who he is. Remember this quote, this alleged quote from Barack Hussein Obama saying, "Don't underestimate Joe's ability to fuck things up." And that really is the core of who Joe Biden is. Yes, he is silver-tongued. Yes, he is animated. Yes, he is talented as a politician, sort of. But at some point, you weave such a tangled web of lies and corruption that you really can't unravel it. And then as time starts to really dissolve the ends of the synapses that can't connect anymore, we really saw, like I said, 8 to 10 times he went off road. 5 or 6, he pulled it back on. It was a weird several second clip of what the actual, huh? And then he got back on the road and tried to finish a sentence, but he missed 2 or 3 or 4 of those. He whiffed on those big time. I don't know if that's enough to take him out because that's who he's been for the past 10 years. I don't know. What say you, Blake?
Well, that's what he's been like the last few years. I mean, he was pretty bad at, just running in the last election, but at least he could kind of handle himself. He did survive the debates from 2020. So he's faded a lot in the last 4 years, and it's embarrassing for the Democratic Party because they've been propping this guy up for as long as they have, as he is severely declining. But now, it's one thing keeping people in the bubble, but now he's, got exposed pretty well tonight. So you can't keep that secret anymore. We all saw it. It was on full display. Here's another tweet saying, yes, this is from Mark Hemingway, an unmitigated disaster for Biden, and there's still 75 minutes to go. Yeah, it looked like it was already over right after it started.
It was.
People were freaking out. Yeah, like, oh my God, I can't believe we're watching the president of the country incapable of completing a single thought. More worried than ever.
By the way, Blake, let me make one quick addition here. You were mentioning about fading. Let me just show you this real quick. In the game of golf, the fade shot right here, this is at the bottom right if you look at the screen. It's where the shot kind of starts off left. That's the red one. It kind of veers off to the left and then curves back to the right. That's a fade. And we got into some really strange golf challenge territories where it was like I thought I was watching Hamilton and Aaron Burr with a duel, except they're going to go to the driving range. They're going to go to Top Golf and sort this thing out. Like, we got into like a weird 3-minute territory where they were challenging each other to a duel in the game of golf. Maybe I'm jumping ahead too far into the script for you, but like, that was a really weird moment as well. And I'm here for it. Trump owns the golf courses. Do you think Biden could hit past the ladies' tee? No way. No way.
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago, I don't know how he even thinks that he can get away with something like that. I mean, we heard, one of the things that they criticized Trump for during his term was that he was, golfing too much. But I've never heard one time where Biden was golfing. He goes to Delaware, that's his thing. He doesn't make that many appearances. They keep his, workload pretty limited. And yes, he takes a lot of vacation days. But I've never heard him once golf, so he doesn't seem to know anything about golf. He should have just said, yeah, you could probably beat me at golf, but I can beat you at this or whatever. But so he's just lying. I don't know who he thinks he's fooling.
Yeah, you know what? The line right there would have been, well, I don't know. I don't own golf courses, so you might be able to beat me at golf, but I could beat you at chess. And I could also beat you in the popular vote and in the electoral vote. Like, okay, there would have been a stupid little line that you could have walked away with and held your head with dignity instead of, yeah, I'll challenge you to the, I'll go to the golf range. I can outdrive you. I can drive 150 yards. It's like, Bro, you can't tie your shoes. You're like on a Velcro and diapers diet, man. Like, I'm worried you're not going to last through this debate. There's no way you're going to out-golf the golf guy. It's just, but that's the level of absurd that Biden is at. He's lived in a cartoonish world for this long. Why would he change now, right?
Right. So yeah, it's time for all the fact checks, and that's one that he failed. Nobody was buying that one. I don't even think the left is gonna try to challenge him on that one. So, but we'll keep reviewing. This is probably, I think one of the favorite moments of the night. Well, there's a couple of them, but this is probably the best one, I think. Let's roll this one with Trump here.
The total initiative.
I mean, you just see him already stumbling. You feel bad. He's stuttering already.
The total initiative.
Today, Junior.
More Border Patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard out loud at that moment, Blake. It's just like, that would have caused the entire arena to burst out in laughter. That would have been like an overwhelming tsunami of laughter right there. Because Trump is a stand-up comic, and some people on the left pretend that they don't understand that Trump is a stand-up comic. That's a hilarious line. I'm sure he was waiting to deploy it at the appropriate time. I felt like he held it back once or twice before he finally let it loose. But that was a really nice time to let it go. I know he wrote that out in advance, and he was just waiting to drop it. And that was a good time because it was like, today, Junior, what are you talking about?
Right. So, yeah, that was a major highlight. Yeah, he made a couple faces, but he didn't say anything. And then finally, it was just like, there was so many of those where he was just leaving himself hanging. So Trump took him out right there. And that was gold. What do we got? Our friend Brian McWilliams saying, "Malarkey, everyone drink." I pull up some. I know there's a couple tweets I got from even leftists, like Justin Baragona, who said Fox News is going to have a field day with this debate. They're going to be eating well for a while off of this. Yeah, I know. I feel like I should go, watch the. I'll look forward to the Greg Gutfeld show tomorrow, and some of these other things. Maybe the 5. I mean, there are some shows on Fox that are pretty good, and they earned it. So this is obviously a huge story, and the Democrats are in trouble, and everybody saw it.
Take a pause real quick. And everyone saw it. It's now 11:11 p.m. This would be a good opportunity to send an intention out to the universe. Everybody, take a second.
Are you drunk, Brian? Okay. All right. Well, it's 11:11 on the East Coast, so all right, go for it, Brian.
So go ahead. This is a great opportunity to send an intention out to the universe. What would you like to see? Health, wealth, wisdom, love. Do you want to see America get back on track? Do you want to see justice? Do you want to see vengeance? Do you want to see success? Do you want to see peace? This is the time to optimize all of those moments. It's called numerology, sir.
If you're in the Eastern time zone, sure.
I guess if you're in Central, you can go F yourself, right?
Right. Well, since it's 11:11 for you, then why don't you make your intention? Because it's only 10:11 for me. So I'll worry about my intention. Hopefully, we're not still on the air at 11 my time. Well,
Heaven forbid you'll be with me in 59 minutes. Okay.
Are you drinking, Brian? Were you drinking throughout this night?
Oh, yes, sir. Were you not?
No, I didn't. I was gonna. I did bring my Elvis whiskey. So
you got Elvis whiskey.
Take a sip. All right. While we're talking.
I finished this one. I had like a sip and a half, because it was.
Oh, that's all you had left?
It was like right to there, so I had a sip and a half.
Was it something significant for a special occasion, or are you just trying to finish something off that was...
Davies County Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 96 proof, yeah. Sour mash, okay.
Ooh, all right, well, this is only 70 proof because it's flavored with bananas and peanut butter and bacon because it's Elvis, right? All right.
Okay, it's
a little too sweet.
That's pretty clever, though.
You're washing it down with some... Summer ale. Okay, there you go.
That's some Sam Adams Summer Ale. So I'll put this into my... I kept this. This is my peach jar from Trader Joe's. I liked the glass, and I'm like, I'm going to keep you. So I washed it, and now I'm going to use it as my glass. Why would I go to Target and buy a $3 glass when I could just rinse out my peach jar?
I don't know.
Did you
All
have
right,
did you
well,
have Tupperware that were like country crock containers growing up?
I mean, yeah, I guess I'd reuse some of the butter things. Yeah, yeah, might as well. Yeah, they were useful. Yeah, people use those.
Yeah, we
They're
did.
practical.
We try to be
Yeah.
practical in the Midwest, whether we're in Minnesota or Ohio. We want to be practical and we want to be resourceful. We don't want to waste any resources or waste any money. But yes, I digress. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on the New American Media. We are doing a live reaction to the debates that we just saw. TV's Blake Wally is joining us, walking us through what he saw, what his takeaways were from this debate. All right, what else we got? Where else? You sent some tweets
Well,
out. You were saying?
I think I was kind of just going kind of back and forth between lists, between people that are going to be pro-Trump and people that are anti-Trump. But I noticed a lot of the anti-Trump people were kind of realizing that their side didn't do well tonight. And so we talked about Justin, who's a leftist hack, but admitting that Fox is going to have a field day. You got Frank Luntz, pollster. Trump talks less, he wins. If Biden doesn't stop talking, he loses. True there.
Hold on, wait. Well, hold on. If Biden doesn't stop talking, he loses.
Yeah, because he's going to sit there and fumble and forget where he's at. He's going to lose his train of thought.
And I will say, I thought Trump turned the abortion thing into an illegal migrant murder thing so quick, but then he went back to abortion and just meandered for like 2 minutes, and I'm like, Trump, you bounced off the topic. Just stay on the migrant crime. Like every day this week, we've seen another great American murdered by an illegal alien invader, part of the invading army that Biden has stationed across our country in strategic locations. I hated that Trump went back to the like, stay on the winning issue. I wish he wouldn't have meandered like that. But that was one of my biggest takeaways, one of my biggest criticisms there. I thought Trump did a great job, but he missed a great opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say that he did that strongly, but it was mostly just Biden looking so weak that he had just no chance. So Trump still did get to drive things home, so and made plenty of points. Okay, so where are we? So it just mentions to reiterate the fact that he was condemning violence and calling for peace on January 6th. Kind of correct the record. Here's one from Bill Ackman. How can anyone in their right mind believe that Biden can serve another term? It's not even clear he can finish this term. What is his family and friends and their thinking as they need their counsel? Needs their counsel most. Let's see. Laura Loomer, trolling here, just said more people get. This was a big fumble by Joe Biden when he was talking about the border crisis and the crimes committed, or migrant crime. And he stumbled on one with the illegal aliens, because he was kind of trying to justify, it's okay that Laken Riley, I guess, was killed by illegal aliens, because that could have happened. They could have been, happened from their own brothers or sisters. So that was one of the things people were giving him flack for.
Can you say that one more time? Elaborate, pull out a little bit more. Exactly what was that line? That sounds unforgivably tone deaf.
Right. And she was making the point that maybe that happens at Biden's house, but not in the rest of America.
Man.
I don't have the exact quote, but she's saying close the border and Ashley's legs, because she's saying that more people get raped by people in their family than they do by illegal aliens. But of course, maybe that's, again, normal in the Biden household, where they are degenerates. And yes, with the Ashley Biden diary and Hunter's laptop, they have some serious problems in that family.
Yeah.
But here's the other highlight, Brian. I think there was, if I was going to pick out two, it would be the one where we just rolled that video of Trump roasting Biden. But we also have the Border Patrol Union fact-checking in real time, because Joe Biden was saying that Border Patrol liked him. I don't have the exact quote, but like they endorsed him, which is completely untrue. In fact, the Border Patrol Union, yellow check mark here on Twitter X, says, to be clear, we never have and never will endorse Biden. So that was huge.
Wow.
So he got busted in a major lie, at least on Twitter, and this will, of course, live on as we watch on other commentary. So what do we got? Greg Gutfeld, doesn't matter what the answers are anymore. The debate demonstrates what we already knew. Biden's not fit to be president. It's hard to, basically hard to watch the elderly man go through this. It's gross. But here's another leftist hack, Joe Walsh, who's almost always, criticizing Trump and defending.
Now he's not the musician.
No. Not the musician, but he is an outspoken critic of Donald Trump, just a pathetic leftist hack. But even he's saying Biden looks and sounds terrible. He looks and sounds so old. Trump is Trump. Every word out of his mouth is bullshit. But Biden sounds old and lost. So far, this is an absolute nightmare for Biden. Again, here's his look. Yeah, the entire debate summed up in one photo. Then Brian, getting back to that other point, was Biden couldn't even win on abortion or on January 6th. So that's pretty telling. That's usually one where the leftists will try to agree and then gather together and get inspired to go out and vote because they think that conservatives are going to make all abortion illegal and blah blah blah, Roe v. Wade, but they just made it for a states' right issue, which is what it should be. It's not a federal ban or anything like that. John Rich here in Nashville saying Democrat friends of mine are blowing up my phone. I hate Trump, but I'm going to have to vote for him after watching this debate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen several tweets similar to that. Like, oh, I got all my Democrat friends, and they're saying, oh, my God, I can't.
Trump should win 85% of the vote across the entire country and win all 50 states. There is no reason that anybody could convince me to vote Democrat or to vote Biden. I'm already against whoever the Democrats replace Biden with. I've tweeted that out over and over again over the past couple of years. We're already against whoever the Democrats replace Biden with. It's not about Biden. It's about that awful party.
Let me ask you the next question. In your life, have you ever voted for a Democrat?
Yes. Once.
What? Once? Okay.
I met a guy who was running for mayor in my college town of Bowling Green, Ohio. And he was a Democrat. And he seemed like an okay guy. And I said, you know what? You're the first Democrat I've ever voted for. And you got my vote.
Last one too? That was the first and the last?
First and the last, yes.
You're not much of a split second. One time. Wow, that's pretty bad.
Pretty bad. Do you know who the Democrats are? They're terrible. They don't deserve a vote.
In the 90s, they weren't terrible. In the 2000s, they weren't that terrible. I was proud to be a Democrat until mid 2000s.
Ugh.
Not even that. I was more of a libertarian by the time 2000 rolled around. But I wanted to vote Libertarian in 2004, but I reluctantly voted for John Kerry.
Who was Libertarian in 4?
In 2004, it was Michael Bernard.
Okay. Well, once again, that's the relevance of the Libertarian Party. But I digress.
Oh my God, Republicans were just a clown show back then, Brian. I don't know. I couldn't imagine voting. I mean, Clinton was so good, and the 90s were great. Sorry, I got to say that was, and especially after Bush administration and it was war in Iraq and the recession. Like, I mean, how could you not vote for either Ross Perot or Bill Clinton? You actually wanted to go vote for George Bush for a second term?
Well,
that's pretty
Ross Perot, yeah, that was. I mean, but that was, geez, that was 92, 96.
Yeah, 92. 96 was Dole, so you obviously voted for Dole over Clinton.
No, I didn't get to vote. I wasn't old enough.
In 96?
In 96, I was 17.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't get my first vote
He's
was
younger than me. That's right.
a couple of years.
Okay.
But anyway, so yeah, Biden definitely looked old tonight. His voice. He started off. The weird thing I kept noticing was he would go, and then his hand would come up like 3 seconds later. By the way, what are you sipping on, Blake?
Brian's drunk already. I'll give you one guess.
Hold on, wait, hold on. You've said that multiple times. You think I'm drunk? Am I slurring my speech?
No, you're not slurring, but I was very specifically told you what I was drinking.
It's banana.
I already forgot.
It's banana bacon whiskey.
Peanut butter. Yes, it's Elvis. It's Elvis whiskey.
Is it on the ice or is it au natural?
I'm just drinking it straight. I don't have any ice. I don't need to anyway. It's so sweet.
It's like too sweet.
Yeah, it's like Southern Comfort. Like it's same proof and everything. So like Southern Comfort's kind of like a whiskey-based peach liqueur, and this is what I would say is almost like a whiskey-based like banana liqueur. It's very it's not like as I was drinking the Jim Beam earlier. It's not the same. But anyway, I didn't know until I tried it. But how was I going to turn down Elvis, right?
How do you turn down bacon, maple, whiskey,
Fried bacon, banana,
bourbon,
sandwich.
banana? Hey, come on. Yeah, you got to be all about that. Give it a shot. Okay.
Right.
So
Anyway.
what else we got about the debate? Biden
I don't
looking
have
like
more. I'll just pull up a few more because I don't know who the hell Nicholas Kristof is, but I will take this person's word for it that Nicholas Kristof is a major left-wing hack. But this also fits into this whole theory that even the leftists were like, "Oh God, this is a disaster." So they're saying, "I wish Biden would reflect on this debate performance and denounce and announce his decision to withdraw." So he's actually thinking Gretchen Whitmer or Sherrod Brown or I don't know Raimondo.
Sherrod Brown from Ohio. Gretchen Whitmer with her fake kidnapping plots. By the way, in YouTube, Chris, what is it? Chris is saying, "Boo, go Biden." We have somebody who's claiming to be a Biden supporter after tonight's performance, Blake, on the YouTube channel. They're saying, "Boo, go Biden." Yeah, like go away, go to hell, go to jail. Yeah, I'm with you on go Biden. It's just where is he going? To jail, to hell? I don't know.
I mean, really, do you think you want to see Biden win for you? I mean, at least have some respect and like think that maybe somebody else could take his place because you can't prop this guy up. Maybe they weren't watching the debate. Maybe they like to sit in their own bubble. I don't know. Or they're joking. I really don't know. But I mean, even like this leftist hack is saying, hey, let's get another leftist hack who's just like, in their 40s or 50s and not, Joe Biden who's...
Beto O'Rourke.
Oh, God.
It's going to be Gavin Newsom. You know it's Newsom.
Right. But I mean, don't tell me Biden. Give me a break. Nobody wants Biden.
Okay, but it's going to be Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom was there at the event in the spin room. Gavin Newsom was there at the Fox News debate against DeSantis. It's going to be Gavin Newsom. The guy who ran California into the ground, who ran you and I the F out of California as quick as possible. Screw that place. Screw that state. I can't believe they're actually going through with it, but it's going to be Gavin Newsom on deck. I don't know how they're going to get away with Kamala thinking but I'm a hyena and I'm vice president. I'm next. It's like, no, you're not next. In fact, you should go home.
I think they should let her do the second debate. And then once she gets destroyed, then they can have the convention. And then they'll decide. At least Gavin Newsom stands a chance.
All right. Could you imagine how Kamala, no matter how bad Biden did today, and he did bad, but like I said, he went off the road, but they steered it back on 75% of the time. A couple times it just... And then, okay, your time's up. Moving on. Like, they bailed him out. I think they cut his feed at least twice. There was a really big edit, a really big jump cut. I told you, what was that, about 30 minutes in? I'd love to find out what happened and what they tried to cut out there. I don't know. Is that going on the internet? Or are people talking about what that moment was and what Trump actually said versus what got out onto the air?
I watched the debate on Fox News, so I did not see any weird cuts or debates. So
Okay.
maybe they did it on stream for those of you guys watching CNN live stream. So I don't. So I couldn't really tell you what I saw that you didn't see. So I don't know if it was that bad, but yeah, Biden like high energy.